Welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Holla at your boy, this is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And tonight, as we acknowledge Black Music Month, we are going to spend some time with a true classic.
Yeah.
When we talk about black music culture. 1972's The Harder They Come, a film that many have acknowledged as the real introduction of reggae and Jamaican music to an international audience. Mm-hmm. The choice of Lynn Webb.
Yes.
But before we get to The Harder They Come, how are you this evening? Lynn, how are things?
Well, I'm fine now. This was my first time seeing The Harder They Come. And I did not realize that this film was going to be triggering for me. We'll talk about it when we get to the review.
Were you an aspiring musician who stumbles into the world of international drug dealing in the early 70s in Jamaica?
No, not that.
I don't know your life. I don't know your life.
Well, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it.
But I definitely felt triggered by this movie a little bit, and I'll talk about it when we get to the review.
Okay.
But first, I'm doing great, and shout out to each and every one of you out there who are watching us as we are streaming live to YouTube as well as to Facebook and LinkedIn and all points north, south, east, and west. From the Video Content Factory, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, right here in Manayunk, PA. Boy Dylan over there manning the boards.
All right.
Vincent, how are you doing? How did you spend your weekend, your Father's Day?
Oh, doing this and that. Being a
father.
Being a father, doing this and that.
Yeah.
Running around, actually doing father stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you? I saw you had a waffle.
I did have a waffle.
Yeah.
I love Belgian waffles.
Okay, all right.
And I have
taught
delicious. Myself to make Belgian waffles, and I've enjoyed the way I was making Belgian waffles for years.
Okay, all right.
Especially once I discovered years ago, I don't know how long they've had it, but years ago I was at a hotel.
Okay.
Where you could make your own waffles in the morning.
Had like a waffle station.
Right.
Okay.
And it was one of the things that you could actually turn it over.
A waffle iron.
Right.
Yes.
Dude, that was a revelation to me. I was like, oh my God.
How were you making your waffles without a waffle iron?
No, I was making them with a waffle iron, but for years waffle irons were just basically stationary.
Just a stationary close. But this one, it was a flip.
You could turn it.
You turn it.
Yeah,
okay.
And the light blinks.
Right,
lets you know when it's done. Right. I was like, oh my God.
You had to upgrade your waffle iron game.
I had to.
Yeah, it's true.
Must.
It's true.
So, but I've enjoyed Belgian waffles that I've made for years.
They're delicious.
So don't at me, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
But it was only this weekend where I was about to make my waffles.
Okay, all right.
And I realized that I did not have any more cinnamon. So, and I wasn't sure because it was still early in the morning. I wasn't dressed. So I feel like running across the street to get some cinnamon.
Sure.
So I said, let me look up real quick. Is there anything that people do when they don't have cinnamon to get flavor?
Okay.
In their waffles.
Okay.
And this was the first time in almost forever that I looked up how to make waffles.
Right.
And that's when I noticed that most of the recipes I saw didn't have cinnamon.
Right. I didn't know. I thought that was a regional thing or a web family secret or.
No. They didn't have cinnamon in
right.
it all. But what they had was vanilla.
Yes.
I never knew.
Never knew that.
I never knew it.
Never knew. Who taught you to make waffles?
Okay.
That's a genuine question.
It is a genuine question, and here's where
That's why I thought maybe
this is where I'm going to clown some more.
Okay.
Because I was taught how to make waffles.
Okay.
From Aunt Jemima, because I read the instructions on the back.
And on the back it said, "Use cinnamon."
You know, it doesn't say use cinnamon. Actually, I don't know where the cinnamon comes from. I don't know where the cinnamon came from.
It's just something you came
somewhere over the years.
Now you've drug Aunt Jemima in here, and she didn't even do anything.
Somewhere over the years, it showed that
it's not that.
I learned cinnamon.
That recently that she won the battle to get the rag off her head, and now you got her telling.
But neither did it have vanilla on the back.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you?
Because I looked again.
Okay.
It doesn't have vanilla.
Doesn't have vanilla on the back. Okay.
But now I know that
now
you can
know.
Vanilla.
All
so
right.
when I went across the street,
right,
and I got cinnamon, and I got vanilla.
So you put still with the cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon works for. I don't know. Okay, I don't know if obviously I'm the only person.
Look, man, hey.
Look, Sharon Eldridge says she puts cinnamon in her Kodak cake pancake mix, Len. I feel you.
Look, man. If you enjoy the cinnamon,
I do.
Then enjoy the cinnamon. But apparently you needed cinnamon and vanilla.
Well, they were fine for years. I was fine. But adding vanilla, I do.
Just change.
I do taste. Well, two things.
Game.
I tasted the difference, and I also noticed the shade difference.
The shade is a little
lighter.
A little lighter.
But it was delicious. And it was so good.
So good.
That I made the waffle that you saw I put on Instagram.
Yeah, sure.
This is my Father's Day gift to me because I talked to my daughter. And
absolutely.
All I want for Father's Day.
Look, man.
And then that night, I made
more waffles.
More waffles with fried chicken.
I was about to say, got some chicken.
Well, I made fried chicken.
Well, that's the way Jesus enjoys them.
That's the way Jesus made them.
That's the way Jesus chicken and waffles.
A lot of people don't know that.
I know.
It was the next to the Last Supper.
Next to the Last Supper. The next, which you don't read about that often. Da Vinci didn't have a painting of the next to the Last Supper.
He was on his way.
He was on his way there. Next to the Last Supper.
He's like, I wish I was here yesterday.
Well, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. So, I was sitting in the house eating my waffles.
We are still talking about waffles.
Well, because now I'm on to what I did for Father's Day.
Okay, all right.
So I was sitting in the house, and I told myself I had spoken with my daughter. Mm-hmm. Now I made myself a breakfast.
You've cracked the waffle code.
So now I want to watch like a father-daughter movie.
Okay.
Watch. So I turned on TCM to see if anything was there. And of course, it's Father's Day.
Father's Day.
So they were showing Father of the Bride.
They were showing Father of the Bride, the original.
The original.
Of course, it's TCM.
With Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes.
Right? So you know what? I've actually never watched this movie in its entirety.
Really?
No.
That is shocking.
I think every time it's been on, I come onto it like in the middle.
Okay.
So I said, I'm going to watch this from the top of the movie.
All right.
Great. So I turn it on. I'm eating my waffles. I'm watching Father of the Bride. I'm cool. Have you ever seen this movie?
I have.
So I'm watching this movie. I see Spencer Tracy comes in. He greets all his kids. You know who's in there? Your boy, Russ Tamlin.
Nice.
He plays the youngest son.
Nice.
In that. So he greets all.
You like that Russ Tamlin?
I know you like Russ Tamlin. He greets all his kids. He greets his wife, played by Joan Bennett. And then Elizabeth Taylor comes down. She's Googling the eyes because this boy has proposed to her, but she hasn't revealed it to Dad. And they're sitting there eating, right? And they're eating like ice cream. Right. And at some point, Elizabeth Taylor asks her parents, "Can I? I'm going to be going out. I'm about to leave." And Mom says, "Oh, well, let me get you your coffee." You know, because I guess the coffee with the dessert. And I'm thinking she's going to get up, but she reaches over and rings a bell.
Okay.
And out comes the black maid.
Okay.
And she says, "Can you get us the coffee?"
Yes.
Now, Mom said, "Let me get you the coffee."
Yeah.
But all she really did was ring a bell.
Yes,
for the black maid.
That constitutes getting the coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
I immediately turned the movie off.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't go there. I was not in that frame of mind to watch this. It upset me.
That upset you?
It upset me.
That the maid was summoned to go get coffee.
Just something about
I mean, I'm not gonna fight you.
Something about that, it bothered me.
Okay.
It bothered me.
Fair
so
enough.
then I said, well, you know what? I like Steve Martin. I'll go to the remake.
Go to the remake.
So I went to the remake of Father of the Bride.
And?
There's no black maid in that.
Okay.
But it's corny.
Oh, you don't like the remake?
No. Because it's interesting, the things you learn watching TCM.
Okay.
Originally, the creators of the original Father of the Bride,
Yes.
they didn't want Spencer Tracy.
Okay.
They wanted Jack Benny.
Oh, it seems more like a Jack Benny role now that you said it.
Well, actually, it wasn't even the director. It was the writer and the producer.
Sure.
They wanted Jack Benny, and the director said no, because if you get Jack Benny, you have to create funny bits for him, and especially to fit like the character that he had already built up. Whereas Spencer Tracy is just there playing a dad,
Right.
and a dad being exasperated by everything that happens.
Right.
With that in mind, I turn on the remake with Steve Martin, who I love, Steve Martin. But now I can see where they have built bits because of Steve Martin, as opposed to him just being an exasperated dad.
Right.
And it took me out of the movie.
Right. Although with Jack Benny, which you really could have played up, was how expensive weddings are.
You really could have. And it makes sense why you would want him.
It actually is pretty easy to have Jack Benny. We need to create a time machine to go back and tell them, no, it should be Jack Benny, and it'd be fairly easy to have Jack Benny in this film. And
I don't know about that. Spencer Tracy is really good.
They would immediately kick us out and say, who let them colored boys in here?
That tracks.
But,
That's exactly.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. So that was my father's.
All right.
You're welcome. All right. So,
all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to Vincent.
Right.
We're going to get into our show.
Get into our letters.
We're going to get into the letters.
Do letters this week.
Yes. There's no top 5 this week.
Right.
So we're only going to do letters. But before we do our letters,
right, I did.
Vincent, you wanted to talk about.
Well, I wanted to mention something that I suspect many of the missionaries are already talking about, because we tend to have a squad that is pretty media savvy, kind of keeping up with these things. And I want to talk a little bit about Maureen Ryan's new book, Burn It Down.
Yeah.
About the industry, and it came out a couple of days ago, and the excerpt that was in Vanity Fair that everyone was talking about a few weeks ago was the chapter about Lost.
Okay.
And how corrosive and terrible the whole environment was on Lost, specifically the way Harold Piernew was treated.
I mean, was he? I did not watch Lost past like 4 episodes.
Sure. He was sort of boxed out. He was, treated very disrespectfully when he asked about being basically a black man and the way his character was being written.
And wasn't he a father too?
Well, it was a father and son, and they separated them, and a lot went on with that. And ultimately, he basically got fired from the show for saying, y'all are being racist towards me.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
But more pointedly, we are a podcast that for many, many years at this point have talked about how much we love Nicole Bahari.
Oh, yes.
And there is an entire chapter.
Miss Juneteenth.
Well, there's an entire chapter in the book on her television show, Sleepy Hollow, and how amazingly terrible she was treated.
Yeah.
On the show, and how because of a whisper campaign that we've been on long enough that we've heard these whispers, in a lot of ways it really affected her career.
Yeah, really
in a way that she wasn't able.
Stifled it.
They said that she was difficult. They said that just a lot of things that it doesn't sound like it was true, and it is infuriating.
I can imagine
reading how she was treated. And again, as you mentioned, whether we are talking about her performance in Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, where she has a couple of scenes where she's amazing. Whether we're talking about, as you said, Miss Juneteenth, which is an amazing film.
Tour de force.
It is criminal that Nicole Beharie is not bigger than she is. And I think the great thing about Ryan's reporting is that you see this was intentional. The way she's basically been blackballed and the way she was treated on that show. So,
and it's a shame because I was a fan of that show when it first came.
Yeah.
And you could feel the wheels start to come off, and
That's right.
You felt like an ickiness about what was happening there.
Look, one of the things that the chapter pointed out that I had forgotten, I had just never really connected the pieces. Sleepy Hollow is before Get Out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So we're in this, it's funny, we were talking about the blackening a little bit before we started going live. We're in this sort of black horror renaissance right now that a lot of us kind of say, Get Out kind of started it.
Yeah.
But Sleepy Hollow had really captured it. And that first season of Sleepy Hollow, they talk about the fact it had garnered this really passionate black following.
Yes, it did.
Because if you remember, not only was it Nicole Beharie, Orlando Jones was on there.
Yes.
And both characters had their own families. They this wasn't your typical television show where it's like a black character who only exists in this white world.
Yeah.
Like both of them had families, both of them had so I remember, because if you've been following the Micheaux mission for longer than 10 minutes, Vince don't really do demons and ghosts and stuff.
You don't do ghosts.
And my wife is as bad as I am. But I remember saying to Wendy, this show is actually scary. Because remember, it would get scary on Sleepy Hollow. But it is so good and it is so black, we actually have to watch this. And then, as you said, the second season, there was an abrupt shift in the storytelling, in the plots, in all of it. And according to Maureen Ryan, who, again, has, noted critic, noted journalist, like she, as the kids say, has lots of receipts. This is something that actually happened, where the writing staff changed and the production people at Fox and everyone basically cut off their nose to spite their face.
Wow.
Just because of pure racism.
Wow. That's
a
damn shame.
It is a damn shame.
I got to check that out. Burn It Down.
Burn It Down. Burn It Down. Maureen Ryan.
Oh, I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about that for a minute. Now we've talked about it. Shout out to Nicole Beharie. One of my dreams, if somehow they put me in charge of one of these streaming services, I don't know how much it would cost, but it seems like you should be able to buy the rights to Miss Juneteenth. I would buy the rights to Miss Juneteenth and then spin it off into a series. And then just have Nicole, because remember at the end of the film, she has the bar and they've got that whole town. And
okay.
I feel like somebody needs to just give Nicole Beharie a vehicle and get out the way.
I would sign up for that.
Yeah.
I would sign up for that in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah.
Dope. All right, Burn It Down, ladies and gentlemen.
Burn It Down.
Check that out if you haven't already. It's on sale now at the bookstore near you. All right? Okay.
All right.
Let's get into this, Vincent. First, I do see in the chat that La Dame says that Vincent's T-shirt game is unparalleled.
I have a little bit of a problem. I do like a T-shirt, though.
Yeah, you seem to get what do you get, 20 a month?
Look, man, I was really into it, and then the pandemic T-shirt buying, and then you get on the list.
Oh,
and then
and now you're on that list.
Now I'm on them lists.
You just can't can't pass it up.
Yeah,
30%.
Hey, we hear you like 90s pop culture. 90s hip hop, you say?
They got you, dog.
Yeah.
They got you.
They see me coming.
Fortunately, I only buy Batman t-shirts.
Right.
There's about 5 or 6 designs you can go with.
Right.
Mess around with the colors a little bit.
Right.
Pretty much it.
Right.
Boy, they got you coming. All right. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Long overdue. But
Yes.
it is here.
Yes.
It is time for Missives from the Missionaries.
Missives from the Missionaries.
Emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries.
Ooh.
Missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the Missionaries, ladies and gentlemen. These are your emails that you have sent to us here at micheauxmission@gmail.com, and we've been stacking them up, not on purpose. It's just been a busy show, but we finally found the time to get to them.
We have a moment. We have a moment.
We had a moment.
So what's going on?
Well, we have an email
Uh-huh.
from May 23rd.
Okay.
This is the oldest email.
Okay. All right.
And it's from our good friend, George Carmona.
Hey, George.
All right. Gents and fellow missionaries. I've been meaning to reach out since Swan Song.
Okay. All right.
As usual, at the day gig, listening to the Swan Song episode when I decided to pause the ep and look up this movie as I hadn't heard of it.
Okay.
Find out that it was on the Fruit Channel.
Yes.
So now I started the movie during lunch and fell in. And I couldn't agree more with your review. That movie was an elegant sci-fi love story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, man.
Yeah.
And it almost is interesting with, Black Mirror coming back.
I was
It's
about
got a
to
lot
say.
of Black
I was
Mirror
about to say. Yeah.
vibes to it, you know?
Yeah.
Really dope. Silo. Yes, George continues. I found out about this show from a general press email. I was excited by the premise and the cast. Fast forward a few days, and a big box company sends me an email for the Silo ebook collected series for $4.99.
All right. That's a good deal.
Serendipity. Finish the first book in the series, Wool, and we'll take a break to see where the show leaves us. Vince,
Okay.
did you know there's a graphic novel adaptation as well as a spin-off series by another writer? I love some of the choices the show makes, shifting some things for a visual medium, like the idea of contraband from the before time. I hope they lean more into the thought banning that's more prevalent in the book, as I look at Silo as a twisted mirror version of Foundation, another Fruit Channel show. Both shows share themes of governmental control in the face of humanity's continuation. The last few episodes have been a great callback to the earlier days of the mission, when you could tell if the review was going to be bad by the amount of time spent before the review. And
Come on, George.
George has been a missionary for quite a long time.
Come on, George.
And I wholeheartedly agree that sometimes the story behind the movie is a better tale. I'm going to miss trailer talk. I'm sure it'll keep Spock adjacent company in the Micheaux mission graveyard. But I am enjoying the class of 1989 and can't wait for the next side mission. Have a great show always, George.
Thank you, George. I didn't know about all the various and sundry wool things.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
we mentioned, I was obsessed with wool when it came out.
Really?
Yeah. Like I really enjoy the Hugh Howey universe.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and I'm still enjoying the show.
You are.
I am.
Because you're going to report back to
I'm
me.
going to report back to you because you've paused.
I've
Paused.
hard paused.
I'm still all in, but I do acknowledge that part of the reason I'm all in is because I love the book so much.
I have found something else to take my time, though.
Okay, what's that?
Have you watched on Max Unicorn Warrior Eternal?
I have not.
It's an animated show.
Jindy.
Tartakovsky.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay. all right.
But first of all, it's gorgeous.
I mean, of course.
Yeah, but this is probably like the best animation from him I've ever seen.
Okay. All right.
And then it's a very interesting story. You think that it's a little bit more madcap, but it's a lot more meditative. Got a lot of steampunk in it, but still is very high fantasy. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I would say on the list, but it was already on the list because I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Of his. So, all right. But thank you, George.
Thank you, George. Next email, Vincent.
Okay.
This is from Eric Bray.
Hey, Eric.
Greetings, men of Micheaux. I'm guessing you're eager for May to be over.
Yes.
But as a fan of listening to you dunk on trash like Theodore Rex, June always leaves me asking, Mother, may I have another month of those bad black movies? I'm sure it's more fun for us than it is for you, so instead of starting a petition, I'll just say thank you for your service. Your recent debate over who was the bigger action star, Jean-Claude Van Damme or Steven Seagal, reminded me of 2008's JCVD, in which Van Damme plays himself as a hostage caught in a bank robbery. The movie makes its own comparisons. Early in the film, Van Damme discovers he's been passed over for a role in favor of Seagal. If you haven't seen this existential French action comedy drama, oh boy, I highly recommend giving it a chance. It's unlike any of the actors' others, and even features a lengthy, teary-eyed monologue from Van Damme that shows acting chops I wouldn't have thought the muscles from Brussels possessed. Thanks for over 7 years of excellent reviews. I look forward to many more. Eric Bray from Savannah, Georgia.
Thank you, Eric. I've heard good things about that movie.
I've never heard of JCVD.
Yeah. It had a little buzz when it came out.
Okay. So is that almost like the what was that Nicolas Cage movie from just a couple of years ago? The Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage.
I think it is. I think it is. Right. But yeah, it was supposed to be pretty good. I always thought Jean-Claude Van Damme was more self-aware than any of those other action stars.
I could see that. Yeah.
I feel like in a lot of ways Arnold Schwarzenegger followed his lead along those lines.
Well, I mean, you don't think that Arnold... I think Arnold had a pretty healthy sense of who he was and wasn't from the get-go.
I feel like... I feel like there is a shift right around Last Action Hero.
Oh.
Where he begins to sort of be a little more self-aware.
See, I think he's a little bit more self-aware before that because, I mean, like he's definitely in full, like, I am the man mode in Commando, right? But
I think both Terminators.
But Terminator's a different thing.
I think Predator. I think Commando. I think he's very much...
No, okay. I think
playing it straight.
No, but I think that in Terminator, like the first Terminator, he basically is just a robot.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
But the second Terminator, which admittedly is a few years later, I think by then he's got a healthy sense of who he is, and he's having fun with it. I don't think he's playing that real super straight. I mean, he has to play it. He's still a robot, so he can't lean but so far.
Right.
But I think he's he's having fun with it.
All right.
Like, as opposed to someone like Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone, like, he drank all his Kool-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all right. But thank you, Eric. And that was also on the list, I guess. Like I said, I'd heard good things about it. I just never really got around to. There are only so many hours in the day.
I know.
Yeah.
Next email.
All right.
This one is from Michael Kettner.
Hey, Michael.
The subject line, fairly new fan.
Okay. Welcome.
Back episodes and 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
Okay. All right. I like so he says so. It's like.
I feel like it's a Karnak joke.
Yeah.
Showing my age. Good evening, Len and Vince.
Hey.
I just found out about the Micheaux Mission podcast in March of 2023.
Okay.
It has since become the soundtrack of my life.
Oh, that's nice.
If only it would stop there. I absolutely love the show. Not only is it informative and entertaining, but your rapport with each other is so genuine and endearing that I could see myself coming to Philadelphia from Virginia just to attend one of your live events.
And well, you should.
And you'll have an opportunity on July 19th when at Bryn Mawr Film Institute, the Micheaux Mission will be there to screen 5 on the Black Hand side. It's the summer of D'Urville Martin,
That's
ladies
right.
and gentlemen.
That's right.
5 on the Black Hand side, starring D'Urville Martin and other people.
And other people.
July 19th at Bryn Mawr Film Institute. Tickets are on sale now. Go to MicheauxMission.com and hit events, and you'll find the link.
It's going to be a good time.
Definitely going to be a good time. I'm bringing pretzel bites.
Yes. So come on up, Michael.
Michael continues.
Michael continues.
The downside to being a latecomer
Okay.
is as I'm catching up on old episodes, I'm wanting to communicate with you about them way after the original air date.
Okay. Okay.
This is why it is taking me so long to email you. But I figured better late than never, both in emailing you and in providing commentary on past episodes. So here it goes.
Okay.
Regarding the 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin from the Bird episode of the Micheaux Mission.
Okay. All right.
Emilio Estevez was in the Breakfast Club with Molly Ringwald.
Yes.
Molly Ringwald was in the stand with Ruby D. Ruby D was in A Raisin in the Sun with Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier was in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with D'Urville Martin.
Was the stand in theaters?
I don't believe so.
I thought the
That
stand
was a
was a TV movie.
And
See, Michael? See? I couldn't use it.
No, sorry, Michael.
And I enjoyed it, but I can't use it.
Sorry. Almost.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost. Please keep up the good work. Looking forward to listening to all episodes of the show.
All
New
right.
and old, Michael Kettner.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that. That was really cool. That was really cool. Yeah, sometimes your mind wants to go to like the TV.
I know.
But you can't, man.
I know.
You can't. Michael, return with another email.
Okay.
Hello.
Welcome back, Michael. Long time no hear.
Hello there, Len and Vince. I'm currently listening to the toy episode.
Okay,
of the
all
Micheaux
right.
Mission.
All right, a madcap adventure of a rich white boy who purchases a black man. Hijinks ensue.
You were discussing how Richard Pryor's comedic style transformed from a family-friendly, almost Bill Cosby-esque form to something more personal.
Yes.
So I wanted to tell you about a great CD my husband bought me years ago called something like Richard Pryor Evolution Revolution.
Okay.
It's an amazing time capsule of Richard Pryor's evolution as a comedian, as it includes audio from live performances where you can tell that he's starting to experiment with deeply personal and free-form comedy. Mm-hmm. If you come across it, you should definitely buy it. I seem to remember seeing that.
Okay.
And it does, like, because Richard Pryor is basically a Bill Cosby clone.
Yes.
But then you can start to feel him start to make the change over.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
On a side note, I'm vacationing in Paris right now.
Ooh, la-dee-da.
And ho-dee-do.
And ho-dee-do.
And I went to check out some comic book stores.
Oh!
Vince was on point in an older episode
right.
when he talked about how seriously
That's
the French
right.
take comic books as an art form. Well, it's true, man.
Yeah, oh
They're the
yeah.
ones that made Karl Barks.
Oh yeah.
P.S. My first name is pronounced Micheaux,
Okay, Micheaux.
Micheaux. And I'm an African-American woman. Just thought I'd let you know because people more often than not mispronounce my name, as I did.
We
So
did. It just happened.
I apologize.
It just happened.
Yes. But
now
we know.
Look,
It's
when you know
Micheaux.
better, you do better.
Exactly. And that's what we would do. The only women I've met who have the same name as me, as far as I know, in regards to the spelling, which she spells Michal, are all Jewish women.
Okay.
Also, the only people I know of who have the same first and last name as me are Polish Czech men.
Okay.
I know that because those Polish Czech men have a tendency to try to add me as a friend on Facebook. Keep up the great work, Mikkel Kettner.
Thank you, Micheaux. Now you got to tell us, A, what shops did you go to in Paris? B, did you get anything?
Yeah. We need to know.
Yeah. The comic shops in Paris are crazy.
We need all the deets.
Yeah. Thank you. Hope you had fun.
We have an
It's some macaroons.
Yes.
And like those street crepes. Like they had these street crepes where you eat them and they're just street food. And it's like turkey and I don't know what kind of cheese they are. But I've been thinking about those street crepes since I got back.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've been thinking about the stuffed beignets from New Orleans since I've been back.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going back to New Orleans in November.
Right. I'm not going to Paris in November.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring you some stuffed beignets if you like.
All right.
Would you like me to bring you some stuffed beignets?
would.
I'll bring you some stuffed
All
beignets.
right.
Dylan, you want stuffed beignets? Dylan is
All right.
giving me
Stuffed
the thumbs
beignets
up.
for all. All right. Go ahead.
All right. We've got an email from Belinda Silber.
Hey, what's up, Belinda?
Love listening to both of you and respect your opinion. Although it's not movie related, could you tell me your opinions on breakdancing being an Olympic event? Just found out this week this exists.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is she serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Breakdancing is an Olympic event.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Since when?
Since like a few years ago. You just don't believe her. Lynn's opinion is that he doesn't believe you, Belinda.
Okay. Summer Olympics? Is this the
Yes.
Special Olympics?
Yes, the Summer Olympics.
The Summer Olympics, breakdancing.
I don't
is an
know
event.
how many different ways to tell you the same thing. Yes. You now have all of the information. There's no further information.
Have we meddled in breakdancing in the United States?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't even watch sports.
I just know that it is an event, and I have mixed feelings about it.
Why do you have mixed feelings?
On the one hand, I love anything that amplifies hip hop culture. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, there is always a part of me that thinks that the nature of hip hop should always have an outlaw element to it.
Okay.
And anytime it is mainstreamed, by definition, it dilutes it a bit.
Okay, so it hasn't been a sport. It will debut. It made its Olympic debut at the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires in 2018. Because it was deemed a success, breaking has been chosen to be featured at the Paris 2024 Olympic sports program as a new sport.
Okay.
So this will be our first opportunity.
Our first opportunity
to medal.
Yes.
In
breakdancing.
breakdancing.
Yes.
Well, here's my thoughts about it.
Okay.
It's not a sport.
Why isn't it?
Because I was going, in my mind, I'm trying to say like, okay, but isn't dancing a sport in the Olympics? But it's not.
I mean, skating, ice skating.
Yeah, but technically, ice skating is still not. I mean, there are dance elements to ice skating. There's dance elements to some, the long form gymnastics.
Okay.
But it's not dance. You right? So, like, if you're going to make break dancing a sport, then do you make the cha-cha slide a sport? Do you make the twist a sport?
I think there's more athleticism built into breakdancing.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is, but that still doesn't mean that it's a sport.
Why not?
Because there's no competition to. Well, I guess there is a competition to it because you see who dances the best.
Hey y'all, let's just sit here and watch and wait till Lynn gets to where the rest of us have landed. Keep on.
I just don't. It's not a sport.
Why not?
Because it's not.
No. Why not?
Because while there is certainly more athleticism in breakdancing as opposed to perhaps other forms of dancing, there are certainly other forms of dancing that do require, perhaps an equal amount of athleticism,
Such as
tap dancing. Tap dancing is a lot of physical exertion, cardio.
Yeah, I don't think it's as. I mean,
Okay, but certain
there's a whole
but
three-dimensional body element. I think there's different things. There are moves. I think breakdancing has more in common, frankly, with figure skating than tap dancing. Or what is it with the floor routine with the streamers?
Well, I don't agree that to me that's not shouldn't be an Olympic
So what
sport.
we've really landed on is you don't think it's a sport because you don't like it.
No, it's not because I don't like it. It's because I don't think it should. It fits the criteria
What is the criteria though?
of a sport.
Who's writing the criteria?
It's definitions of sport.
Yes, and who's defining it? Look.
I don't like this.
And now we've landed. Everyone, wait until the pilot tells you to stand up and get your luggage. Be careful when you open the overhead compartment because things may have moved during the flight.
I don't. I mean, Zumba. Is Zumba a sport?
I mean, can you compete? Can someone Zumba
Out
better
Zumba
than-
one another?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then I guess it can be a sport. Do they have competitions? Are there Zumba competitions?
I'm sure there are.
I mean, then I guess
There's
it's a sport.
Zumba trainers. That
I didn't ask for their training.
evokes more of sport to me than anything about breakdancing.
Then go ahead and make it a sport.
So
then.
Zumba should be a sport.
All right, fine. I don't care.
So Zumba should be an Olympics.
Sure.
Let's make it Zumba.
Look, apparently you need to be in charge of Zumba being a sport.
I don't like this.
I know you don't like it.
We got one last email.
Okay, all right.
This is another email from Belinda,
Hey, Belinda.
and it's very short.
Okay.
Please review. Well, the subject line is please.
Okay, please.
Please review Story of a 3-Day Pass by Melvin Van Peebles.
Okay. I have to tell you, Belinda, that feels like a fall review.
A fall review?
Yeah. There are certain films that always feel like are autumn films. Like school is back in and we're kind of settling in, and it's like I feel like those are like hot cocoa films.
Okay.
Have on a sweater and but yeah, absolutely, Belinda.
Now, we didn't get this as an email, but I got certainly enough messages.
Okay.
On my personal Instagram,
Sure.
on our Instagram, and Twitter, and a whole nine. There's a great many of the missionaries feel because we reviewed the Cherokee Kid
Yes.
and on the last week of May, and we both agreed it really wasn't a bad movie.
Yes.
A lot of missionaries feel we owe them
No.
a bad movie.
No. We rolled the dice in May. We rolled the dice, and we came up okay. We went into it. We did our due diligence. We assumed it was a bad film. It was a good film.
The only argument I will offer is that, and because it was my film, I missed it. I missed that it was not actually released in the theaters.
I'm not watching no more deliberately shitting movies until May. God answers all of our prayers, but sometimes the answer is no.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we won't be reviewing any bad black movies until
Deliberately. Because sometimes you never know. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get. A lot of these films we've never seen before. So.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's funny. All right. Well, that was our Missives from the Missionaries.
All right. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that.
That was fun.
You know, all jokes aside, it's a weird conceit doing the podcast because, you know, even now, like now it's me, you, and Dylan, but for a long time it was just me and you. Mm-hmm. So it is nice to know, like, you know, it's a community, you know, people are listening, but it is nice to get actual proof.
Right.
That people. So it is always wonderful to talk to everybody.
It was.
And we appreciate all of it. We really do.
LaDame is saying that I believe that breakdancing has more in common with synchronized swimming.
Okay, sure.
Okay, but
you don't like that either, though.
No, I can see the athleticism of synchronized swimming.
You don't like synchronized swimming.
I don't like it.
Oh, I know you don't like it.
I don't like
You've
it.
never watched synchronized swimming for one moment in your entire life.
Well, that's not true. I have seen it.
No, you know what it is, but you've never actually watched it.
I've watched it.
No, you haven't.
No, dude. When I was little, man, I used to watch the...
You just watch all of them?
I used to watch all the Olympics.
Because you couldn't turn channel?
No, because I liked it.
You liked it?
I liked it.
So you were watching synchronized swimming?
I would watch synchronized swimming.
You said watch the whole deal?
Yeah. Because I appreciate the athleticism in that. I do.
Right, okay.
Do you like synchronized swimming?
I mean, not really. But...
Why cut at my neck?
Because you're the one that's really invested. I don't care. These people run around in circles, throwing balls at each other.
Maybe if they were breakdancing with a ball, I would. Right.
Clint Mechanic, he really throws that ball well at the other guy. Sure.
Clint Mechanic?
I mean, you know.
What are you talking about? Anyway.
Troy Jenkins is so fast. All right, fine.
Do you not like do you watch the Olympics? Because you're not into sports at all.
Why would I watch the Olympics?
I don't know, maybe I don't know if you're like track and field.
I do the World Cup. I get into the World Cup.
So you get into the soccer.
Yeah, but that's really...
Oh, there's soccer in the Olympics.
Yeah, and I do watch that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Let's see, a soccer guy.
I mean, soccer guy is really strong.
I mean,
but I enjoy it, yeah.
I mean, World Cup is like the premier soccer.
Right. I used to have a Pele jersey that I had to stop wearing because it was like just too intense. Like people were, and Brazil, and Brazil, and then you fool around, somebody's running up on you speaking Portuguese, and like, okay, right. Oh, easy.
That's right.
I like Pele in the film Victory, where they defeated the Nazis using soccer.
And was it scissor kicks?
Yeah, that's right. He did bicycle kick. Bicycle kick. And I like to watch that, but all that easy. 6 feet.
Speaking of
because
6,
I'm not a hugger.
I learned that the hard way. Boy, did I learn that the hard way. Speaking of 6, ladies and gentlemen, let's get over to 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
Right.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen. I will give Vincent an actor, and he will have 6 movies or less with which to connect them to 70s Olympic gold medal actor D'Urville Martin.
The man who truly introduced reggae music to America.
Yes, he did.
All right.
Yes, he did. And in honor of the film that we are reviewing, The Harder They Come, which stars Jimmy Cliff,
Yes.
I have selected 2 actors
Okay.
of Jamaican descent.
2 actors of Jamaican descent.
Yes.
Interesting.
Starting with number 1.
Number 1.
6 movies or less.
6 movies or less.
Connect D'Urville Martin.
2.
Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Cheryl Lee Ralph. You can get to Cheryl Lee Ralph a bunch of different ways.
Well,
But I only need one, of course. Of course. Well, this is what I'm going to do to get to Cheryl Lee Ralph.
who is the daughter of Stanley Ralph, a college professor, and Ivy Ralph, a Jamaican fashion designer and the creator of the Kariba suit.
Okay, very nice. Well, D'Urville Martin is in the final come down with Billy D. Williams, who is in Lady Sings the Blues with Richard Pryor, who's in Which Way Is Up with Margaret Avery, who is in The Color Purple with Whoopi Goldberg, who is, of course, in Sister Act 2 with Shirley Ralph.
Well, very good, Vincent. You have...
Who told Lil Lauryn Hill, you ain't gonna be singing on that gospel choir, because ain't no money in you singing for the Lord. Which is one of the weirdest plot developments in black culture, where a woman is telling her daughter she can't sing on a gospel choir.
Yeah,
But that's how you get to Shirley Ralph.
that is exactly how you get to Shirley Ralph. Very good, Vincent.
I could have, if you wanted to keep it Jamaican, I could have gone the route and gone from, of course, Dick Anthony Williams to Denzel Washington, Mo Better Blues, and then Denzel Washington is in The Mighty Quinn with Shirley Ralph. If I wanted to keep it Jamaican.
Now, you're just showing off.
Well, no, I thought about the fact I could have kept it themed.
Well, you could have.
Like you said, Jamaican, I could have stuck with The Mighty Quinn.
Do you want to do this next one and try and keep it themed?
Let's see. Well, let me see who it is.
Oh, you don't want to just blind say you're going to do it?
I'm not. But I'll try.
Okay.
All right, who is it?
In 6 movies or less, connect D'Urville Martin to the Jamaican American rapper who goes by the name of Sandra Denton.
Okay. That's his government.
That's her government.
That's her government. But I know her better as
Pepper of Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper. Shit, what was Pepper in? All right, I'm going to ask you this. Are Salt and Pepper and Who's the Man? I know Salt is.
Yes.
Pepper's in Who's the Man?
Yes.
Okay. So, you get to Who's the Man because I don't know what else Pepper was in.
If you thought hard enough, you would know it because there's an easier movie.
I don't know what else Salt and Pepper were in. What else were Salt and Pepper in?
What else was Salt and Pepper in?
I mean, because I'm assuming they were in it together.
Let's see. Well, this didn't come out in the theaters. I don't think Salt was here. Pepper, that was a TV show. Joe's Apartment. First Time Felon. And then there's another movie that I'm not going to tell you.
All right. Well, this is what I'm going to do then.
But Who's the Man?
D'Urville Martin. D'Urville Martin is in Five on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams, who is in Mo Better Blues with Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
Who is in the Shaft remake with Busta Rhymes. Mm-hmm. Who's in Who's the Man with Pepper.
There you go. Very good, Vincent. Very good. Now,
what else was Pepper in?
The easier movie
Okay.
would have been the film that she doesn't star, but she's in alongside her ex-husband, Tretch.
What is she in with Tretch?
Jason's Lyric.
Pepper is not in Jason's Lyric?
Yes, she is.
Playing who?
Sandy.
I have no memory of Pepper in Jason's Lyric.
Well, I didn't say she was doing good work, but she's in there.
Okay.
She's in there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You got there.
I got there.
That's
I got
all
there.
that counts.
That's all that counts.
You got there.
Yeah.
You're groovy.
All right. There you go.
All right. So, very good, Vincent.
All right.
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go.
And now...
It's been nice. It was nice. It's a nice, genteel pre-movie discussion.
Oh, I like to think so. And it's now time for us to get into our review of The Harder They Come. We don't do trailer talk pretty much anymore, but just real quick for the George Kimonas of the world and Robert Monroes of the world, share with our Trek-loving audience your thoughts on Strange New World, which premiered the second season this week.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. You know, it's still a really interesting... I don't even want to call it a member berry. It's almost like member berry jam, where it's made out of member berries, but they're kind of doing something with it.
Yeah.
You know, like I love how Robert April is much more part of the plot. You know, I love how, like, I actually love how the Gorn are being treated as this kind of mysterious terror. And you realize, right, but just canonically, I think Arena is the first time Starfleet had a big encounter with the Gorn.
Right.
So, you know, I love how that, you know, I love the deepening of Dr. Mbinga and his characterization. So, yeah, I'm just really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's really well done fan service.
It is.
You know?
It is. And I enjoyed the first episode. I enjoyed it a great deal. I love what they're doing with Mbinga. I love what they're doing with Nurse Chapel. I love what they're doing with everybody. There were some parts where I thought it was like, I didn't have to do that. But for the most part, you know, you just get swept in the whole fun of it. But I don't know about you. I loved it all the way. But when the show episode ends, and they put up the Chiron for Nichelle.
Yeah.
Hailing frequencies forever open.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah.
I was done, man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, y'all are spot on.
Yeah.
Y'all are spot on.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. Great deal.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Ready?
As ready as I'm gonna be.
All right. The Harder They Come, a 1972 Jamaican crime thriller is the story of a young man who wishes to become a successful reggae singer, but finds himself tied to corrupt record producers and drug pushers. Directed by Perry Henzell with a screenplay by Perry Henzell and Trevor Rohn, The Harder They Come stars Jimmy Cliff and is a film that many have acknowledged was responsible for introducing the rest of the world, writ large, to Jamaican music and specifically reggae music through the work mainly of its star, Jimmy Cliff. The Harder They Come, 1972, was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, how would you like to begin our conversation around The Harder They Come?
Well, let me tell you, let me just get this out of the way. Because I mentioned at the top of the show, this movie triggered the hell out of me.
Yes.
And the reason why is because when I was back in, I guess I was in high school. Yeah, I was in high school. I used to date a Jamaican girl.
Okay.
Right? And we had, it was a great relationship.
Okay.
It was cool. She was the head cheerleader.
All right.
She was a dancer.
All right.
Right. And first of all, when you're just a nerd who reads comic books,
yes,
and draws Batman pictures, and can maybe make a layup. I wasn't a bad Batman.
Yeah. You fighting outside your weight class,
dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
dog. But I loved it.
All right.
But she was Jamaican, so I would go over her house, and she had 3 older sisters and a younger brother. Her mom, I don't remember if her dad was there.
Okay.
But I remember distinctly her mother. Her mother was no joke. She is like the epitome of what you think a Jamaican mother is. She was a boisterous woman. She was always cooking. She would, the patois was flying all over the place. I knew not a word of what anybody was saying. As far as I know, they were ready to kill me. I don't know what they all said. Right? I just every once in a while I heard Len.
Yes.
So it's like, yes, it's me.
In their defense, you were sniffing around their daughter and or sister, and you probably weren't there for Bible study.
Anyway. But what I remember is that every time I went over her house, like as I'm walking up to the house, I could see her mother sitting on the porch, right? And then she would get up, she'd go in the house, and she'd come back out. And she'd come back out by the time I've gotten to the house. And what would happen is she saw me coming, went in the house, and got her machete.
Oh.
And then would come out and would sit on the porch with the machete.
Subtle.
Not really. Because she then sit with the machete and how you just popping into a thing of wood.
I actually don't know, but...
Oh, she's like, boom.
Okay.
And then just sit there.
Yes.
With the machete.
Yes.
As I sit there talking to her daughter.
Yes.
And the only way I could be on even stakes is if I walked my dog with me.
Right.
Because then at least I had my dog.
Right.
But otherwise...
Which you were going to use to attack your girlfriend's mother?
No. But then they was like, oh, Tiger, he big. I'm like, nah, he's cool.
Yeah.
But I felt on equal footing.
Right, don't do that again.
No.
Yeah, don't do that again, but go ahead.
Yeah, I did. So that was wrong. So watching this movie,
it took you back.
It took me back because
Right.
there's this moment when Jimmy Cliff, he in the role of Ivan, he's taking the bus into the town.
Yeah.
And famously, I think there's only one stoplight in the city. The bus is riding on 2 wheels and things. And he gets out and he's walking and he's hungry and stuff like that. And he sees somebody with a vegetable and he reaches for a vegetable and somebody puts a machete right on his wrist.
And that took you back.
I was like, yo, that's
You was back.
I was 16 again.
16 again.
And it's just like, woo.
All right.
Whew.
Well, there you go.
So I got triggered.
Therapy is real.
It is real.
All right.
That notwithstanding. I watched this film, and from the beginning, from this movie, when it starts off, first of all, it lets you know that you are on the island of Jamaica.
Absolutely.
Right from the beginning of the film, you see the waters cresting on the side of the island as a bus is careening over the roads, bringing Jimmy Cliff, as I mentioned, Ivan into the town. Right, he's come from country, for which you believe to be like United States. I think.
No. I just assumed the country, like further. I don't know if inland or.
I wasn't sure,
but the country.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But and the thing is, you don't really need to know.
Right. There's a detail, but I'll talk about that when it's my turn. Go ahead.
And he's come in and he has dreams of being a singer.
Yes.
Right? He has dreams of being a Jamaican singer, and he knows he can do it. He'll be big. And that's all he wants to do. He'll get some kind of like piece of a job until he makes that happen. But that's all he wants to do. And even when he makes that happen, and when he finally proves that he can be a singer, and he's not only a singer but a smart songwriter, and has written his own fantastic song, which is the title track, "The Harder They Come," and proves it to the local, music producer who kind of like runs the town as far as music goes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But then, like in true music producer fashion, F's him over for his dough. And then Ivan feels like he is forced to turn to a life of crime.
Yes.
And he starts selling weed. And then things just devolve into there to, next thing you know, he kills a man. Yeah. And then he goes on a killing spree.
He gets good to him.
He gets good to him. Them bullets just keep the flying, right? And as I'm watching this, I'm like, there's a lot of elements of this movie that fit hand in hand with the black films of this time, 1972, 73. The quote unquote blaxploitation era is really starting to bubble up.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, Shaft is hitting, Superfly is hitting.
That's right.
Fred Williamson, The Hammer, Truck Turner, like all of these movies, even Pam Grier, I think by 73, it's kind of like been introduced into the psyche at that time. So, and a lot of the elements of this movie, some guy trying to make it, can't make it, forced to a life of crime. These are elements that you will find in a lot of those films, right? The difference is that in those films, they would take it to a more fanciful realm, as far as now it becomes the you against the man. The man's trying. There's this force that's keeping you from what is rightfully yours, and now you feel a need that you're going to do it and take what is yours by any means necessary, right? That usually becomes the stock trade of those blaxploitation films. In The Harder They Come, this is just life in Jamaica.
Right.
This might as well be, as much as this is a crime movie, and it is, especially the second half, as I said, he goes ham.
Sure.
But even then, this is still very much just the world of Jamaica.
Right.
You are dropped in the middle of it, and this is just one of the stories that is playing out on those streets.
Yes.
Right? It's not some big epic, it's just something that is happening there.
Right.
And when those things happen, it always happens to like a small group of people. And what this movie takes the time with, because it is just a slice of life in Jamaica, you see how Ivan and what he's doing, you see how the concentric circles just circle out and touch everybody in his life. And it touches the woman that he falls in love with. It touches his friends. It touches his friend's son. And it really becomes very much of a bit of a character study to me, because Ivan is a guy who can't get out of his own way. And that is the thing that you don't see in the blaxploitation movies. There's always somebody else, some other outside force.
Right.
Ivan is his own worst enemy. And the movie never lets you forget that, right? And I appreciate that, because in that, the movie is playing fair. And the movie also realizes that it has a powerful magnetic star in Jimmy Cliff, who you cannot take your eyes off in this movie. You cannot. He is so assured. He's not an actor. He's a musician. He's a musician.
He's Jimmy Cliff.
He's a musician. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's the second coming of Portier or anything in this movie, but he just feels so real.
He has that it.
He's got it.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
But he's got it, and he's not flaunting it. The only time you can see him maybe it bubble up to the surface and he's playing around with it is when he's singing the song.
When he actually becomes the entertainer.
The entertainer that he's always saw in himself.
Right.
And I think it's smart that the movie never lets you see that in him until that moment.
Yeah.
And when you see that moment and you can see this dude is a star, and everybody around him can see that he's the star, which means that dude has got to jerk him over. Right. And the second the dude jerks him over, he dials back down, and that's when the wheels come off.
Right.
And he goes crazy. But he sells this movie so beautifully. And what I appreciate is that he could have made this film in Jamaica, and you see they use all of Jamaica. They use from the worst parts of Jamaica,
that's right,
to the more privileged parts of Jamaica.
That's right.
You see every strata of life in
That's
Jamaica,
right,
fully formed, fully fleshed out on screen, without any apologies, without any real hitting you over the head of oh, this is where the richer people live, or this is where poorer people live, and this is how they've got to get down. This is how the cops deal with crime in the city. This is how the army, the military is dealing with. They don't hit you over the head with any of that. You just follow the breadcrumbs, you follow the story, and it all fills itself out like smart storytelling does. And because of that, this is the film that I honestly went into with very low expectations.
Okay.
Right? As far as a film.
As a film. Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking,
yes.
I know Jimmy Cliff, I know his music. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm honestly thinking this is going to be Superfly. Banging soundtrack.
Right.
Weak movie.
Right.
The soundtrack, if you like Jamaican music, and I guess it is reggae, but it probably is not the reggae.
Right, this is early.
It's early reggae,
this is
right?
before that Sly and Robbie,
right,
Bob Marley reggae that we all think of as reggae.
This is reggae, still kind of living off of some of its blues and doo-wop-ish kind of
almost
origins.
more high life.
Exactly. But it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it is absolutely
no
beautiful, soulful, real. In this movie, so the music definitely wills out in this movie. It is all there and all that and then some. But like great cinema, the music only illustrates what this movie is all about. and that is Ivan's story. And it's Ivan's story from how he wants to become, a singer, falls in love with a woman. I think it's very beautifully handled how he falls in love with Elsa in this movie, who is played, I want to get the name right, Janet Bartley. I think they fall in love, but it's not in any over-the-top way. A lot of their scenes, there's a beautiful montage of scenes of them that are wordless.
Yeah.
And it really is just them riding on a bicycle.
Riding a bicycle, that's right.
Right? Through Jamaica, with no apologies to some of the scenario, some of the scenery of Jamaica. You don't care because you're just locked in on these two kids riding on this bike, and you can feel that they actually feel for one another. The movie doesn't make any aspersions to, that he is some saint, but you never lose focus that he has deep, sincere feelings for Elsa, and Elsa in return. You feel his friendship with Pedro grow throughout the movie, and he becomes like almost like a brother to him throughout the film. It touches on some interesting commentary with the church in Jamaica. I told you it's got some definitely interesting commentary on the police and the military in Jamaica, on the drug trade in Jamaica, life in Jamaica, music in Jamaica, privilege in Jamaica. It touches on all of that without beating it overhead to become what I think. You said it's a classic. It's a certified classic. I'm surprised, and maybe I'm wrong, this is not a Criterion Collection film.
Yeah.
Because this, if ever there was a film that cries to be in a Criterion Collection, it is The Harder They Come. I enjoyed every moment of this.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Criterion Collection film or not, but you're right. It seems like something right up their alley, their lane. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think it's a disservice to this film as a film that the way most of us know about this film is as the vehicle for the soundtrack. And much like you, I know I've seen this movie before, but I never really paid attention to it the way I did today. And much like you, there were several elements of the film as a film that stuck out to me from the very beginning. Like you said, this is an amazing depiction of 1972 Jamaica. And it is, as the history shows, this was a film that was a hit in Jamaica.
Yes.
And then made the leap to international audiences. But you can tell this was a film by Jamaicans, made for Jamaicans. And having these characters, these ordinary people, these ordinary Jamaicans as characters was something that historically had not been seen before. But these are real people. These are real people. These are real locations. I mentioned the fact that he was inland in Jamaica before he went to sea. I love the detail that the first character beat we get from him is he lies to his grandmother.
Yeah.
Because he comes in, he's come from the country. His mother has died. They've sold their country property. He's come to tell his grandmother about his mother being, her daughter, his mother being dead. They have the funeral. He gives her the remnants of the money that he has left from the sale of their property. But he says he spent the bulk of it on her funeral. And they go back and forth. And I love his grandmother who says, well, you spent all the money. How are you going to get back to the country? Because she immediately knows that no good can come from him being in the city. Right. And he says, I'm going to make my way in the city, this, that, and the other. And then there's this wonderful moment where she asks him for a mango. Did you bring me a mango? Because apparently there were mango groves where he was in the country. And he says, oh, it was a bad season. There were no mangoes. But what we have seen earlier is him sitting on the bus eating mangoes.
Yeah.
So right there, okay, well, this is who this guy is.
Yeah.
And then it goes from there. And much like you, I love the almost naturalism that comes from his journey, where he goes from being destitute and homeless. He's taken in by the church. He gets a piece of job. He finally gets a break and makes a song. But because of industry rule number 480, there's no money to be made. And then he slips very naturally into a life of crime.
Yeah.
And it goes from there. And I hadn't thought about the fact that this is occurring at the same time as blaxploitation, but you're right. There is a real contrast between the over-the-top nature of what we think of with blaxploitation and something like this, where certainly there's crime involved, certainly there's gunplay involved, but it's a character study disguised as this action film, as this film. There are some wonderful directing choices in here that I thought, I think Perry Henzell is a Jamaican director of note. And there are some great moments in here. First and foremost, the way he captures Jamaica.
Oh, yeah.
Is extraordinary.
The photography in this movie.
The photography is extraordinary. But there are moments like that montage that you talked about where Ivan and Elsa are riding on the bike in front of the beautiful ocean backdrop that the director captures wonderfully. My absolute favorite moment in the scene, there's a moment when he becomes a drug mule, and now he's part of this operation transporting marijuana.
Right.
Where he is sitting in darkness with other members of the cartel. And they're talking about buying guns. You need a gun. And the actors are in silhouette. And one of them lights this really elaborate pipe.
Yes.
And you see the glow of the pipe, which lights all of the actors. And it gets brighter and dimmer as he puffs on the pipe. And it is an extraordinary moment. Just
the ringlets of smoke.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So that, I love that part of it. I love the way, and I have to say, if I've seen this before, I didn't see it with subtitles. I immediately turned on the subtitles.
Oh, dude. He says something in the beginning. I was like, oh, I got it.
Yeah, because I lost track of everything immediately when he walks up before he sees his grandmother and at the domino game.
Oh, I
say, oh yeah, but
I was on the bus.
I love the details of how the music industry, the police, the government, and crime are interconnected.
Yes.
To keep the populace under control.
Exactly.
And I love how they
mechanisms.
It's almost it's this moment where it becomes the French Connection. And you see this interlocking of all of these different elements that I thought was really well done.
It's all five seasons of The Wire.
Yeah.
Right there.
Much like you, I think Jimmy Cliff is you cannot take your eye off of him, which is something that is pretty notable in a film that at any given moment on any part of the screen, there's something interesting happening. Visually, kinetically, just the personage, these are real people. Like, these aren't people who all were just acting. So these look like real people.
Well, it's filmed right in the heart
of Jamaica.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more interesting than real people.
Exactly.
So you have all of this going on, and then in the middle you have Jimmy Cliff. We mentioned Miss Juneteenth for a second, before the review. And one of the things that I love about Miss Juneteenth is the same thing I love about this. Like, in my mind, the sign of a fully realized world is one where, as the viewer, I feel like, A, this world was here before the camera turned on. B, this world is going to be here when the camera goes somewhere else. And most importantly, C, this is a world that I could see more of.
Right.
I love the depiction of this church that the man he goes to work for and Ilsa's godfather basically runs. I love the world of the studio where Hilton, right? You call him, you call him corrupt, but I think he's just a music guy. Like, this is just what he does.
He's corrupt.
I mean, I guess you can sign on the line that is dotted or not.
Yeah, but then if you don't, but remember, he then blocks Ivan from having any success.
Look, A Tribe Called Quest told you in 1989, record company people are shady.
Okay, so he's
but
corrupt.
I could have watched a whole bit about that.
Just about
the
studio.
music industry.
You're right.
The policeman who is, kind of moving things around. I could have watched that. There's a moment where a plane lands for 10 seconds and they hand him a bag
something in the bag
of, you assume it's a bag of drugs, and then the plane takes back off. Where I said, oh, well, this is a half hour right here. Just this operation.
Yeah, it's the whole operation.
So that not only was I pleasantly surprised by this film, I was actually impressed by how good this film was. And it didn't really have to be this good.
No. You're going to The Harder They Come because you either know Jimmy Cliff, you've heard of Jimmy Cliff, and you want to see him and his music alive on screen, maybe have some laughs, see what it's like in Jamaica. That's it. If this movie was the music and a travelogue of Jamaica, everybody would have been happy.
Yes.
And they maybe, or do like they did with Sunrise, Space is a Place. You take a Jimmy Cliff concert and you stitch a story around it. Right? No, that's not what this dude does. And he goes and creates a fully formed, fully fleshed out character with a story, with pathos, with a human interest, with an arc, a fully formed arc.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because he almost turns into like Robin Hood at the end of the movie. By the end of the movie,
by the end of the movie, I'm thinking, oh, there's a lot of this in Queen and Slim.
Yeah. Totally. You didn't need any of that.
You really didn't.
But God bless you, he gave it to you, and shit, if he ain't stick the landing.
Yeah. Because you know how the film is going to end. Like, how these movies are going to end. Of course. But it's a beautiful ending too.
It is beautiful because again, like you said, you know how it's going to end, but all the way to the end, he's still playing at the height of his intelligence.
Yes.
And not that he's the smartest guy, but it's at the height of that character's intelligence. You never feel like he, like, all of a sudden, just for plot convenience, something happens.
And as the audience, you're pulling for him.
Exactly. 100%. Even though he is dead ass wrong.
Oh, again, the first thing he does in the film is lies to his grandmother about a mango.
Yeah, but you're pulling for him. It's really just a well done motion picture.
And we've kind of buried it because it's what everybody talks about. But the music is great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The music, like, I think we kind of take it for granted because we all know the music now and you have access to all types of music. But you can understand why this hit so hard in 1972.
Dude, if someone told me that the harder they make a joke in this movie about when he finally the song finally gets played on a record and on a radio, And how the dude's like, y'all want to hear it again? Okay, well, I'm going to play it again and keep playing. If I went back in a time machine to 1972, 73 and turned on the radio and they were playing The Harder They Come over and over again on the radio back then, I would 100% believe it. Because it was an infectious tune. Yeah. Made all the more infectious, like we said, because that's the moment where Jimmy is performing. And, and he's leaning into it.
Right. You know? And back to the director, it is a sign of his confidence as a filmmaker. This film is an hour and 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think it's at the 45-minute mark where he finally sings.
Yeah.
So, everyone was confident enough that they don't have to play the big joker until halfway through the movie almost. Mm-hmm. We got enough here. We don't need Jimmy Cliff to Jimmy Cliff yet.
Right.
We got all this other stuff. Yeah. So, just a triumph. It really is. So, the question, of course, would be,
yes,
would you recommend The Harder They Come?
I would. I would wholeheartedly recommend The Harder They Come with subtitles.
With subtitles.
But I think that it is a film that will actually, you're not prepared for. It will surprise you. It is a movie that will surprise you, but you will walk away from it, smiling and saying, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
That was a really good movie. Yes, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing is we're being kind of jokey about it, but I think it is a testament to its sort of authenticity and for how it's directed to a very specific audience. Mm-hmm. That if you are not Jamaican, or if you are not a type of Jamaican that understands this very heavy, and I know patois is a problematic word, it's very difficult to understand. Mm-hmm. But even that, I think, lends itself to its authenticity. I think about something like Daughters of the Dust, where people have said the same thing. But this is a very good film. Yeah, this is a very good film, and I also recommend it.
Yeah, definitely should check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely should check out The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff.
Yes,
big recommendation. Before we tell you what we are going to be rewatching next week here on the Micheaux Mission, I invite you to follow the Micheaux Mission. 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. You can go to micheauxmission.com and hit swag, where you can check out all of the cool designs and shirts and gifts that we have available for you by way of our good friends at TeePublic. That is how we are able to keep our show coming to you for free. You can also like and follow Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Micheaux Mission. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube, youtube.com at Micheaux Mission. Become one of our subscribers and hit the bell so you'll be notified when we have new videos going up. I am now Vincent. I am going back over some of our better shows and editing out just the review.
Very nice.
So there will be a whole playlist with that is simply just be reviews of the film. So people know, like sometimes just want to sit with our review.
Just the review.
Just that. Right, so we're getting that playlist together for you. There's, top 5s. There's 6 Degrees of Dover Martin, and more stuff coming your way on youtube.com at Micheaux Mission. You can email us if you have a thought you want to pass along to us. Email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com, micheauxmission@gmail.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 215-867-9666. That's 215-867-9666. Tell Vincent and Len what is on your mind. All right. The Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate. ThePodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work, such as ours, which streams to you every Tuesday live from the Video Content Factory, Philadelphia's premier video content podcast factory, plaza, pavilion. It's all that and then some. Go to videocontentfactory.com and book your time today. And Dylan said we have to at least lend him out during the day.
Okay.
Because he's got to eat, so he's got to make money. So, okay. So,
Capitalism.
I know. All right. Next week on the Micheaux Mission.
Yes.
Vincent, I hope you are ready, because one of the exercises that we are doing here on the Micheaux Mission is that we are having fun going back and reviewing films that didn't get the full YouTube treatment.
Didn't get the full YouTube
treating this as a
it's multimedia experience now.
Exactly. And next week it's one of those films.
Okay.
We are going to be reviewing Dreamgirls.
Dreamgirls.
Starring Beyonce,
Yes.
Jennifer Hudson.
Yes. Anika Noni Rose.
Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
And I just drew a blank on our man, the comedian. The other comedian in this film.
Besides Eddie Murphy?
Yes. But no, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx.
Right. Don't think of him as a comedian.
I know he's
man of many talents.
Many gifts. So we're going to be reviewing that next week, ladies and gentlemen. But we have a very special guest joining us from DCP Entertainment. Adele Coleman will be joining us to review Dreamgirls. It promises to be a fun review.
Absolutely.
Until next week, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.